This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
But I still see your intentions. It always feels like my words find death lips begun. It always feels like Marcus. Marcus.
MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it. It never has. It never will matter who the host is. Anyways, how are you? I hope everything's good and grand inside of your neck of the woods, because if it's not, what the hell are we doing? We need to figure that out. We need to fix it. Isn't that what safety does? Safety fix it. Isn't that the line from Sam Goodman? Anyways, today is Wednesday, January the 31st, also known as Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Day 31 of the year, and only 335 days left to go. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. So, there you go. And we are hanging out with those buds of ours at that other place.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Yep, there you go. We're hanging out with those people over there, those people over here, and all kinds of other great stuff. So there you go. So let's talk about what the hell we have going on today, because if you're not familiar with the show, it kind of goes in this format. We talk about safety and we talk about the news, and we talk safety in the news, and that's kind of how the world goes. We bring in some professional broadcasters to talk about what the hell's going on with the world of the news, because shit, you don't want to hear that from me. That's for sure. And then on the other side is that we have the availability, for you to come in and talk about whatever the hell you have going on via video messaging, audio messaging, or text messaging. Text messaging seems to be the popular one. We recommend you go to callinradio.com to talk about it. Yeah, that's callinradio.com to talk about what the hell's going on. So there you go. That sums it up. Then I come back and I'll talk about some level of a main story, and then we go from there. I think that's kind of simplistic enough of what we do. I think that drives the point home. Not that kind of point. Get your mind out of the gutter. So there you go. So let's do this. Let's start talking right away about what the hell was trending in the overnight.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I take a look at the trends of the end, more major job cuts at a major international company, and a big pharma company offers a promising new plant treatment. We'll talk about that as we get into the hit list. Also find out Gwyneth Paltrow manages stress. With the candles that she sells, I'm always kind of concerned on how she manages stress. Also, the whole Kels family rides the celebrity wave. We'll talk about that as we get into casting calls. And a staff departure dampens hope for a big comeback from the House of Sussex. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. So what do you think? So here you go. If we're going to start talking about it, let's not waste a lot of time and let's go ahead and start talking about what our favorite newscasters have going on. So let's go ahead and get into the news. Let me go ahead and bring some Mark Mayfield into our life.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. President Biden needs Congress to give him additional authority to secure the southern border. White House Deputy Press Secretary Olivia Dalton argued that's why House Republicans should get on board with the border deal expected to come out of the Senate.
And if, Speaker Johnson is serious about securing the border, which he also said that he is, then he should work across the aisle with us, reach back across the aisle in good faith and join us. We're working along with Senate Republicans as well as Democrats.
Biden recently said the deal would give him the power to shut down the border and he would use it once he signs the bill into law. But Speaker Mike Johnson says the deal crafted in the Senate is likely dead on arrival in the House as it doesn't go far enough. Democrats have accused Donald Trump and Republicans of rejecting any border deal as the former president has put the immigration problem front and center in his 2024 campaign against Biden. Former President Trump's name will stay on Illinois' presidential primary ballot. The State Board of Elections voted yesterday to dismiss another challenge to Trump's eligibility over his alleged actions during the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. The bipartisan board voted unanimously against the lawsuit brought by a group of voters represented by the watchdog group Free Speech for the People and state elections lawyers. A judge in Delaware is voiding the $56 billion pay package of Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Brian Shook reports.
Judge Kathleen McCormick found that the company's board of directors failed to prove that the compensation plan was fair. Shares of the company fell about 3% in after-hours trading following the ruling. The 2018 pay package granted to Musk was the largest compensation plan in public corporate history, leading to Musk becoming the wealthiest person in the world. I'm Brian Shook.
And the Federal Open Market Committee is preparing to make its first announcement of the year on interest rates. A two-day Fed meeting ends today, with most analysts predicting no rate change this time around. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan's been sentenced to 14 years in jail for allegedly selling state gifts. An Iraqi militant group says it's suspending operations against US forces so as not to embarrass the government in Baghdad. The UK government's expected to publish details of a post-Brexit deal designed to restore power sharing in Northern Ireland, and the US and China are committing to work together on tackling fentanyl.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
The Space Shuttle Endeavour has completed its final journey. Phil Hewlett explains.
A 450-foot crane lowered the space shuttle onto the realistic launch pad at the still under construction Samuel Ocean Air and Space Center at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Endeavour will rest next to 2 solid rocket boosters and a 65,000-pound fuel tank. When the exhibit officially opens, it will be the only vertical launch-ready display of a former NASA space shuttle in the world. I'm Phil Hewlett.
Witnesses took the stand Tuesday in the trial of the mother of the Oxford High School shooter in Michigan. Jennifer Crumbley is facing charges including involuntary manslaughter in the deaths of 4 students and the wounding of 7 others. Witnesses on the stand included the dean of students at the high school at the time of the shooting and Jennifer Crumbley's former boss. Broadway legend Cheetah Rivera is dead at 91. Kristen Marks reports.
A boy like that would kill your brother.
The Tony Award-winning dancer and singer rose to fame in the role of Anita in the original production of West Side Story in the 1950s. She was also known for creating unforgettable characters in the original cast of Chicago, Bye Bye Birdie, and Kiss of the Spider Woman. Rivera's daughter says she died in New York following a brief illness. Rivera was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Obama in 2009. She served as the Marshal of New York City's Puerto Rican Day Parade in 2013. Kristen Marks, NBC News Radio.
Philips is halting the sale of sleep apnea devices in the U.S. because of potential cancer risks. The medical device maker said on Monday the move is part of a deal with federal regulators. And the city of Austin apologizing for an email that went out to Parks and Rec employees advertising 2 upcoming meetings. One was exclusively for people of color. The other one was for white people. It was sent by the department's new Equity and Inclusion Coordinator. The head of Parks and Rec said in a statement that the email was not vetted and did not reflect the department's values. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Listen to our host.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Listen to our host
Of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
You know, nothing better when you start having a cough attack the moment you're supposed to click on the microphone and come back on. Yeah, kind of the way that goes. Anyways, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show. You are 14 minutes past the top of the hour, depending on how you're taking a listen to us, unless you're on a podcast. If you're on the podcast version or a pre-record, yeah, more than likely, this is not the time. But we're 14 minutes into our show, almost 15 at this particular point. Because a lot of people get hung up of, why don't you say exactly the time that it is? Well, I can't say exactly the time based on your time zone. And then when we start getting into the podcast version, well, I'm really messing up time frames when it gets there into that. But remember, this is a 3-hour show. And people go, wait, hold on. I only listened to 1 hour of the Rated R Safety Show. That's okay. Because remember, we incorporate the Jay Allen in the Morning Show inside of this that we do on Radio Big. And I'm going to tell you, because for years I've had this problem. Yeah, for years. I can say that now. Is that I would love to incorporate some music into this as we're doing it. Because I would love to, hit this music bed as we're talking and, and call upon the dark, so little Danzig action and all that. But I can't do this because, number one, this video thing that we do during this first hour. And then the other portion is that because of the podcast recording, we're limitado on what music we can do. And listen, the people that hang out and let us play their music, nothing wrong with their music, but some people that want some more contemporary music or some more radio style music that's playing currently. Can't do it. Can't do it, mi amigos. So there you go. So now that I'm off my soapbox, let's go forward and talk about some other things that you're going to care about, like the news. So let's do this. Elon Musk surged to the world's richest man status in recent years, thanks largely to his generous incentive-based stock package as the head of Tesla. When Musk nailed those earning targets and entitled himself to billions in compensation, some stockholders sued to stop the payout. Yesterday, a judge ruled against Musk, declaring the compensation package was inappropriately set by company's board of directors, and now they'll have to figure out some other way to compensate the eccentric billionaire. Musk retains the right to appeal the decision to the Delaware Supreme Court. In an ex-post shortly after the ruling, Musk gripped never incorporate your company in the state of Delaware. I don't know if I agree with that one. Meanwhile, Tesla Y was the overall best-selling car in the world last year at 1.2 million units. And that's for a global vehicle sales, not just EVs. Have you been in a Y before? It's not a bad little car. Just as long as it's not hot and it's not cold and you're not in mountains. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, and that probably sounds kind of asshole-ish as I say that, but I'm not trying to be. Car drives great, or drives itself great, depending on how you want to take a look at it. The only problem that I ran into is that if you're in an area over 90 degrees, there is a setting where the car turns itself on, even when you're not in it, to cool its battery down or to cool itself down. So if you're out in the boons and not close to a charger, that could be interesting. Makes it fun. So there you go. I mean, you just have to get used to the format. It's a great car, though. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Yeah, and more cowbells. If you figure out the little trigger to get to that, you might be really excited about some stuff. Anyway, shipping giant UPS announced Tuesday it will cut 12,000 jobs after a grim fourth quarter earning report that saw overall shipping volume down. UPS also avoided a strike last year by negotiating more generous compensation packages for its drivers. The company said that the daily package volume was down more than 7% year over year via CNBC. Now, I find that interesting. And I'm going to sit here and say this, though. How is that even possible? Because I thought most people get their shit delivered to their house or their place of employment or wherever they're getting their stuff shipped. I didn't think it was one of those things where they left everything to be. You know, I don't want to go to the store. If I can have somebody deliver the stuff, I'd rather that happen. But that's me. I thought a good chunk of us were there. Maybe I'm just totally off my rocker.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a pharmaceutical-based company in Boston announced on Tuesday it has developed a pain treatment drug without the addictive characteristics of opioids. The new offering from Veritex Pharmaceuticals works on nerves outside of brain and spinal cord, which will apply to fewer pain treatment scenarios, but also avoid the risk of addiction and dependency, at least in theory. Yeah, theory. Clinical trials showed that showed a statistically and clinically meaning reduction in pain among patients who had completed abdominal surgery or bunion removal. Both procedures are commonly used for baselines in studies analyzing pain treatments. No word yet on timelines or pathways to the market for the drug via New York Times. I've heard that, when you're trying to get some kind of pharmaceutical drug approved, and if you don't get it through the FDA, well, why not just have your employees get it sent to their house? And you can just distribute it that way. I don't know if that's legal. Sounds like mail fraudy to me. I'm just saying. Who knows? I mean, companies have some weird things that they do, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that's what Vertex Pharmaceuticals is asking people to do. But yeah, things get weird sometimes. No, seriously. Overall, not a joke. Anyways, law enforcement near Baltimore have found the culprit behind a series of fires set in the woodland areas last summer, a 20-year-old volunteer firefighter. The arsonist, a woman named Allison Sestor, and is even believed to have potentially called in the very fires that she started. She faces 3 malicious burning charges and a misdemeanor count of calling a false report of fire, according to CBS News reports. For now, she's out on bond. How the hell did you get out on bond for that one? I want to know that. This is according to CBS News. We always want to give our sources on what's going on. I mean, unless it's some kind of private entity type of thing that, we're doing some deep intel investigation. I'm not going to give you that. So what do you think? Like, seriously, what do you think? Look how that blurred out. So there you go. Some stuff there. Also, construction crews in Seoul, South Korea have begun to work on what will become a massive revolutionary Ferris wheel style attraction. At more than 600 feet, its unique spokeless design will accommodate 64 individual pods, and it each can hold about 25 passengers, meaning that 1,400 people will be able to enjoy the attraction at the same time. That's nearly double the capacity of the London Eye in England. The carriages will follow tracks installed on a massive circular frame and a zip along the interior and exterior of the structure. Construction is scheduled to be completed in 2028. Cost nearly $70 million. Yes, $70 million to get that moving and grooving. So there you go. What do you think? What do you think? Would you ride that thing? But knowing that it can handle that kind of capacity? I'm just a capacity kind of person. I like to ask these questions to have a better understanding. I mean, good. I mean, if you can, cool. I mean, if you can't, not cool. But whatever. It works. So let's do this. Why don't we do this right now? Why don't we talk about some money matters? Because, we always want to talk about that money. Because that's what we do real quick. We have Aaron Royale back doing the reporting on this, so let's take a listen.
More Americans are feeling better about the economy, but the recent spike in inflation still hurts consumers. Rory O'Neill reports.
Confidence in the economy is moving up in the latest Gallup survey, but the overall number still remains negative. 45% of Americans rate the economy as poor, and nearly 2/3 say it's getting worse, not better. Just as many say high prices pose a moderate or severe financial hardship. President Biden's approval rating is also up 41%, according to Gallup. That's after averaging just under 40% in 2023.
Boeing has withdrawn a request for an exemption from safety regulations to allow the 737 MAX 7 jet to be certified to carry passengers. Silvana Anau reports.
The move comes as the company faces intense political pressure following the blowout of a door plug on a MAX 9 plane. Last year, the FAA determined a design flaw in the MAX 7's engine de-icing system could be potentially dangerous. This now means the MAX 7 will be significantly delayed until Boeing can come up with a fix for the flaw and get FAA approval.
Tax season is officially underway this week. Many people pay someone to do their paperwork, but experts say that's a risky proposition.
Many tax preparers base their fees on the amount of your return. They may be likely to use shady tax preparation tactics. We see people all the time lose out on qualified deductions and credits.
Jason Meza with the Better Business Bureau says it's okay to go with a tax preparer in your neighborhood, but he says it's important to check their credentials first. If there is a mistake, you're the one who will pay the price, not them. Meza says there are some red flags to watch out for.
Preparers who offer refund anticipation loans, you'll probably lose a large percentage of your return to a commission fee.
Consumer and business news, Aaron Royale, NBC News Radio.
You know, I hear that stuff and I get kind of scared that people are not aware that that's how that works. That you're the one that's on the hook if something goes wrong and somebody else is doing your tax paperwork for you. Just so you know. It wasn't me. It was the accountant. No. I remember many, many years ago of hearing some very shady things going on inside of that world. I know the things that people would offer, particularly when I was in a southern portion of a state. I mean, we'll leave it at that. So, with that being said, let's talk about what I was able to find. The Dow gained about 133 points to close at 38,467. On Tuesday, the S&P lost about 3 points to close at 4,924. And the NASDAQ lost about 118 points to close at 15,509. West Texas Intermediate closed at $77 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $82 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.12 on Tuesday. Bitcoin gained slightly on Tuesday, trading just over 43,500 feet. Listen to me, $43,500. There was more than 1,820 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Tuesday, and more than 65 such cancellations. No winner on Monday night's Powerball drawing, but tonight's drawing will be for a $188 million jackpot or a $90.7 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, it is time to do so. So there you go. Anyways, I talked about it at the very beginning, and normally I would leave it for hour 2 or 3, but let's talk about it right now. You can handle stress like Gwyneth Paltrow if you like. The actress turned mogul said on Instagram, sometimes when I feel really stuck with anger, I just hit stuff. She says her executive coach suggested that she buy a plastic baseball bat to facilitate smashing. Paltrow also added that it is important to release anger in a healthy way. No word on exactly what she's smashing. This is according to the U.S. Magazine. Think about that. So, when she's upset, she goes around smashing. Yep, I said that out loud. 27 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk a little bit more in regards of what the hell's going on right there. Take a listen to this. San Diego, California, the San Diego County Sheriff's Detective arrested a 36-year-old inmate. How do you arrest an inmate? They believe is responsible for the January 16th death of a cellmate. Phil Farrar has more.
Investigators say Alvin McDonald Ruiz, arrested on suspicion of probable cause in connection with the death of 24-year-old Andrew Yates. Sheriff's Homicide conducting a thorough investigation as required by protocol. Jail staff performed CPR and even administered naloxone in case of an opioid overdose. The case sent to the DA's office for possible charges. The medical examiner will determine the exact cause of Yates' death. I'm Phil Farrar.
Okay, thank you, Phil Farrar, for that one right there. Take a listen to this. Chicago public school students are calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Hundreds of high school students across the city walked out of their schools to City Hall yesterday. Take a listen. Okay, the students demanded that the aldermen vote in favor of the ceasefire resolution. The city council is expected to debate over the controversial measure as we are talking. So there you go. Also, a group of protesters blasting the city of Chicago for rejecting the permit application protest by Chicago Water Tower ahead of the Democratic National Convention in August. A lawyer for the demonstrators says that the city suggests that they march in Grant Park.
For the city and the Democratic Party to shut out those voices, suggesting instead that they march in a straight line in Grant Park where no one will hear them, offends the First Amendment, and it sets a regressive tone for the DNC.
The group said that the Chicago Transportation Department denied the permit. Activists have appealed the city's decision. So there you go. So how is the First Amendment offended by this? I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. I will tell you, last week getting to hang out in Washington, D.C., it was amazing to see the amount of protests that go on there on a daily basis. Yeah, daily basis. And, well, they seem to be a little bit all over the place in regards to where they take place. I mean, I'm just saying. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Colorado lawmakers are proposing a bill counter increasing a tax to health care. Yeah. State Democratic Representative Eliza Hamrick is sponsoring Bill 1066.
Our healthcare workers, our frontline workers were heroes in the pandemic, but now what's happening is they are leaving the workforce in droves.
The bill was established a workplace violence prevention committee that documents and reviews any incidents that develop violence prevention plans within healthcare settings. The Colorado Hospital Associated reports that a nurse in Colorado is assaulted every 30 minutes. 90% of healthcare workers say that they've experienced violence from a patient or a caregiver while on the job. The bill has been introduced and is waiting to put on the calendar for its committee in the House. National Alliance of Mental Health Illness in Colorado Executive Director Ray Merenstein supports the bill, but says that other claims that they are redundancies from the providers' perspective. Listen.
If it's already being done, then why are these things not working? So we're looking a little deeper at each individualized facility.
So there you go. What do you think? A lot of stuff going on right there. Also in Colorado, El Paso County, a new state program is helping people stay in their homes. The 4th Judicial Court Magistrate, Andrea Pupsky, says that the eviction diversion program allows tenants and landlords to resolve the disagreement while providing court-assisted recovery.
It seemed wrong to just send them off with this bad outcome. We are obligated to apply the facts to the law, and that's what I do every day. But to send them off without resources felt like going to the doctor with a diagnosis but not offering them help.
It makes made possible thanks to the 22 local nonprofits. Almost 100 families in El Paso and Teller counties have avoided eviction since November. Officials say that the district makes up about 15% of such cases across Colorado. As it stands now, funding for the program is set to end in August of next year. 4th Judicial Court Magistrate also says that she hopes that the legislature will step up and provide support so the eviction diversion program can continue successfully.
It helps everyone in the long term if we can make sure that people are housed, that people can maintain some continuity in their lives, because with less economic disruption in our community, we all win.
Okay, let's do what? We want to do one or we want to do two? Let's do one more. 3 teenagers between the ages of 14 and 16 years old are in police custody in Kalamazoo for trying to steal a Kia early Monday morning. Public Safety Captain Scott Benderend says that they tried to break into a vehicle in an apartment complex parking lot and were caught after officers on foot chase were taken down.
And we're looking at that same type of method where they break the back window out and then they punch the ignition related to that Tic-Tac video that was pushed out. That's the same type of method that we're looking at.
Did he just call it a Tic-Tac video? Okay. One suspect previously tried to steal a Kia, according to Bander, and says that the authorities don't think they are connected in a large criminal enterprise. He says that 40% of stolen vehicles in the city over the past 2 months have been Kia brand, with a cluster of them stolen in and out of downtown. Kalamazoo Public Safety Captain also says that the Kia theft in the city are up.
We've had about 40% in the last 2 months of our motor vehicle theft be Kias, and the downtown area has been hit the hardest in those last 2 months.
Okay, so there you go. So instead of doing two, let's do one, and let's go ahead and get into our main story, because I think it's time to do that.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So I have to sit back. I have to chuckle. I have to laugh. I have to think about that, how this gorgeous Whip 'em Out Wednesday is working. But I have to sit here and chuckle about how our things work inside of this little thing that we call safety. How things happen inside of the world of the things that we do, how we talk about certain things, and how we're mesmerized and amazed on how things go about. So if you've hung out on this show, you are aware that we talk about the things that have come out of the Department of Energy. Yes, that would be the DOE. Yes, you saw the lovely picture if you hung out on my LinkedIn last week of us being there. But the Department of Energy. And there is some handbooks that were issued many years ago that talk about human and organizational performance. Also that we refer to nowadays as HOP. Yes, HOP. These documents were released and became what is known as public domain. What does that mean? That means you get to mess with them. You get to take a look at them. You get to take them apart. You get to go, hey, I'm going to use this. I am going to go forward. I am going to take a look at this. Now, I sit back today and I kind of chuckle. And let me explain why I say this. Because you know how public domain works. Public domain is like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Disney decided to repurpose it because it was public domain. They have other stories that were public domain, like Cinderella, and they decided to move forward with it. So in our workplace, we have decided to move forward with human and organizational performance because it was public domain and use it. And we talk here sometimes about people repackaging stuff and reusing it and repurposing it. And that has been the stuff that has been coming from the Department of Energy for some time. But I heard last week that one of these lovely people that goes around and teaches this stuff, and we'll say this in different countries because they don't really go around the world, even though they swear that they do, has been going around saying that people are stealing their intellectual property. Intellectual property in regards of what is going on. Someone stole my intellectual property that came off of something that was public domain. Also, it's amazing to me that I take a look around at this and I go, hold on. You have written a book that was stolen off of somebody else's concepts entirely and decided to try to treat this as a standalone. I'm very confused here on how something is public domain all of a sudden became your intellectual property and you're bitching about other people saying that they stole your stuff. It becomes very confusing because listen, at the end of the day, if you're using something that's public domain, which that's the bulk majority of what we do on this show is what we talk about is something that is public domain. I thought the thing that you should care for the most was people getting home safely or getting home in better condition than what they were originally. Not so much of intellectual property. At least isn't that supposed to be how it works? And literally, if you take book one, and let's say, for instance, you've written multiple books, and your first book is stolen off of somebody else's concepts that was using public domain, and then in your second book, you decide to steal directly something else that somebody else was teaching? Who's taking whose public domain? Who's taking who? I mean, let me rephrase that. Who's taking whose intellectual property? Kind of very confusing on how this works. At the end of the day, I'll put it to you this way. Handbook, Volume 1, Volume 2, if you want to know about human and organizational performance. Don't care who repackages it for you. Is it an easy read? Absolutely not. Are there people out there that can actually break it down and give you a little bit more detail to have a better understanding of it? Absolutely so. Would I take one of the original people that was a trainer that went out there and taught people how to do this as probably the first line to go to? I would say yes. That would probably be the person that I would turn to. I know two guys that do that. One of them has recently retired, and one's still out there. Yeah, I get to hang out with that guy ever so frequently. So there you go. Yeah, sounds like a bitching session from my part. What do you think?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
I know you all want to hit your revenue targets and get the launch done. Well, making sure that your team knows what to do and how to do it is a huge part of it. So I'm sure that you all do different kinds of training, and I'm willing to bet that you probably use PowerPoint, Zoom, etc. I also bet that when you get someone droning on about a topic using these tools, you probably zone out. And your team does too. I mean, it is a reality of what happens. That's why I strongly recommend a tool called Articulate 360. That makes it so easy to whip together interactive, really beautiful e-learnings that really engages people and gets info across. You can create short-form micro-learning, super interactive courses, and really whatever you need when you're in their site. Then with a couple of clicks, you can send it out and check on it and see the progress of your team. Your team can also check back on the training anytime they want in a super simple portal. Literally everyone uses Articulate. Over 120,000 companies and all 100 Fortune 100 companies. Check it out at articulate.com/360 to start a free trial. That's articulate.com/360 to start your free trial. And don't forget to tell them that I was the one that sent you there.
As your safety training old, stale, and hacky, safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing the dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free to use the code SafetyFM-free for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM-free with code SafetyFM-free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Rated R Safety Show. Sarcastic? Never.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large gas X pills? God, what's that awful stench? Radio. Marcus.
Okay, you are still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things to talk about. A lot of things to do. Still a little time to do so. So right here, this is some Shock Face with Always Feels Like. Yeah, I can give it this to you as a little streamer-eamer action if you want. By going to YouTube Music, Apple Music, or Spotify.
Yeah, some good times there. Thanks to Shockface for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Or hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, depending on how you want to take a look at it. You know, all I need is some beats or eaters, and I kind of go crazy. So there you go. Okay, so let's get back into it. Let's get into some of the things that are going on inside of this lovely world of ours. And let's talk about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. You can take a look around of what they have inside of their website. Click on the section that says Find Help. They have different scholarships that are available. They also have international resources available for a view of mental health resources outside of the U.S. and, of course, for stuff in the U.S. Also, some information about other aspects such as addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. So all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com to find out more. To Write Love on Her Arms. To Write Love on Her Arms. TWLOHA.com. Click on the section that says Find Help. You might be amazed on the information that is there. Let's talk a little bit about some other things that are going on. It turns out that all those glitzy weight loss commercials promising amazing results might be telling the truth. New research shows that if you're looking to slim down, it might be worth it to invest into a commercial weight loss program. The people at the University of British Columbia Center of Obesity and Wellbeing Research Excellence, wow, that's extremely short, found that those looking for lasting lifestyle changes and to lose weight tend to be more successful when they use a commercial weight program compared to others who try to do it on their own. A spokesperson pointed out that evidence-based weight management programs are a good way to go, considering that for many, medical treatment is unavailable or unaffordable. In a study for those who took part of the commercial weight management program lost more than twice the amount of weight and reduced their waist circumference by a larger percentage compared to those who tried to shape up on their own. But interestingly, those who both groups also experience benefits such as improved blood pressure, heart rate, aerobic stamina, and flexibility, and sleep. I lost 75 pounds when I tried to do it myself. The problem was that it was the same 5 pounds 15 times. But we already knew that this that we could do this. Trust Oprah the Almighty. I mean, I'm just saying. So there you go. So let's talk about this. Not super important, but something worth talking about. iPhone users will soon be treated to 118 new emojis, including Phoenix, a shaking head, 4 gender-neutral families. There will be available part as the beta version of 17.4, iOS 17.4, that is. Expected this spring, the emoji expansion pack, which some are also available on Samsung and other devices, will also feature new emoji concepts like the head shaking horizontally and a head shaking vertically, a brown mushrooms, and a broken chain. A new update also tweaks the existing family emojis that they're somewhat controversial, devoid by color. But also there will be also called emoji gender options and skin tone modifiers options available. Also included is 6 more people emoji with the direction specifying variations so that you could use person walking while facing a certain direction or on a wheelchair-bound person facing particular direction. So there you go. I don't know about you, but I spend more time trying to find the right emoji, and I feel that when you take it to draw it, it'd just be easier to draw it myself. Just saying. Also, 118 new emojis, and yet still I get all I get is the LOLs. I mean, I don't know. It is kind of an interesting one when you start really thinking about the whole thing. Do you really need 118 new emojis? I mean, I don't know. I never know what's going on. I'm not in the loop. So there you go. So let's do this real quick. Why don't we talk real quick about the road to the White House? Here you go.
Road to the White House 2024. Nikki Haley may be eyeing Democrats in South Carolina to keep her presidential aspirations alive. Haley needs a respectable showing in South Carolina on February 24th to have any shot against former President Trump.
What I do think I need to do is I need to show that I'm building momentum. I need to show that I'm stronger in South Carolina.
In South Carolina, voters can choose to take part in either party's primary. Trump won the first two contests in Iowa and New Hampshire. Trump has maintained a double-digit lead over Haley in the Palmetto State. Haley says Trump is not unbeatable.
He's not getting the independent vote. He's not getting a segment of the Republicans, and so he's got some work to do as well.
In Washington, I'm Brian Shook.
Oh, don't worry. We have all the way to November to listen to all of this. Keeping it in the White House, let's talk about this. President Biden needs Congress to give him additional authority to secure the southern border. White House Deputy Press Secretary Olivia Dalton argued that that's why Republicans should get on board with the border deal expected to come out of the Senate.
And if, Speaker Johnson is serious about securing the border, which he also said this morning that he is, then he should work across the aisle with us, reach back across the aisle in good faith and join us. We're working along with Senate Republicans as well as Democrats.
Biden recently said that the deal would give the power to shut down the border and he could use it once he signs the bill into law. But Speaker Mike Johnson says the deal crafted by the Senate is likely dead on arrival in the House as it doesn't go far enough. Democrats have accused Donald Trump and Republicans of rejecting any border deal as the former president has put the immigration problems front and center of his 2024 campaign against Biden. The White House is throwing support behind the bipartisan border deal, expected to soon come out of the Senate.
We think that if this proposal that's on the table was to be enacted, it would be the most meaningful, fair, significant piece of legislation to secure the border that we've seen in decades.
So there you go. There you go. Okay, Florida lawmakers are concerned about the migrant influx in the southern border advance to bill deter deported migrants arrested for felonies and re-entering the U.S. and committing more crimes. The senator has more in.
This was part of the grand jury recommendations to help cut down on illegal immigrants committing crimes in the state.
Jonathan Weber with the controversial Southern Poverty Law Center argued the removal of migrants is the exclusive role of the federal government. Take a listen.
States have no power or business reproducing or engaging at all in the process of removal. We are concerned that this bill is an attempt to create a separate removal and deportation scheme for the state of Florida.
There has to be some sort of paper trail with the federal government through DHS that the person was arrested and they were deported for that reason.
So there you go. A lot of stuff. A lot of things to talk about. So there you go. Let me give you one more and then we'll get into something else. Tropicana Las Vegas will close its doors for good on April the 2nd, a day shy of the 67th birthday. Mark Mayfield has more.
The famous casino resort will be demolished and replaced with the baseball stadium that the future Las Vegas Athletics will call home. Along with the public, the Tropicana's 700 employees were notified of the closing date on Monday. The demolition process is expected to take between 9 months and a year. I'm Mark Mayfield.
So there you go. One of the cornerstones there will definitely change everything up as that goes. Let's do this. Let's get some John Smalls headed your way right now on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Cole. Mark Twain said, "Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great." I love that quote. Now, I just had this conversation with a friend who has a business. He did really well a few years ago, but last year was a tough one. It started well, so they decided to expand. After making major investments, the winds of business changed, and he had a rough time. I love this guy and his whole darn family. It's hard to watch friends go through that. I know what it's like. I've been there myself a time or two. If you know someone going through a tough time, please be there for them. Just being there to listen can help. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
A new study from the University of California, San Diego finds that AI can help treat sepsis. John Fink reports.
The deadly reaction to infections kills an estimated 350,000 Americans annually. Now, UC San Diego Health says it has a new tool to treat patients dealing with sepsis quicker. The AI system called Composer has compiled 100,000 sets of medical records from patients battling sepsis. The learning algorithm is effectively lowering mortality in hospitals by catching sepsis sooner and distinguishing between sepsis and medical conditions that present similar symptoms.
The American Civil Liberties Union is planning to sue the state of Ohio over the newly passed ban on gender-affirming care for minors. The ACLU says allowing the law to go through would be disastrous for young people in the state who struggle with gender dysphoria. The organization is planning to ask a judge to issue an injunction to stop the law from taking effect. Health Update, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, thank you for that. Real quick, in regards of what is going on, let's talk about this. If you're traveling anytime soon, American travelers are being warned about visiting Jamaica. Here's some Lisa Taylor for you.
The State Department issued a travel advisory last week saying violent crimes like homicides, armed robberies, and sexual assaults are common. The department added that high-level or specialized health care may not be available in Jamaica. Anyone planning to travel to the popular Caribbean destination is being told to avoid secluded situations and get traveler's insurance. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Okay, so no hedonism for you, that's for sure, if you're deciding to go there. Let's talk about this 2022. Well, we're talking about some things that happened back in 2022. The world puzzle game Wordle is purchased by the New York Times for a low seven-figure sum from the creator, software engineer Josh Wardle. The daily word game gives players 6 chances to guess the 5-letter word. Millions of people played each day, according to the Times. That happened back in 2022. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's take a look. Joel Courtney turns 28, Amy Jackson 32, Justin Timberlake turns 43 today, Kerry Washington 47, Portia de Rossi turns 51, John Linden 68, Jonathan Banks turned 77, and Nolan Ryan additionally turned 77. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you. It's National Hot Chocolate Day, Scotch Tape Day, Hug an Economist Day, Backwards Day, Brandy Alexander Day, and Eat Brussels Sprouts Day. If you lost a very bad bet, I would recommend the last one. The latter, for sure, in regard to that. So there you go. So let's take a look around for some other things. If you need a random joke for today, try this. If you have to add to be number one, you have to add to be, hold on. You have to be odd to be number one. I can't even talk. You have to be odd to be number one. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is the weirdest thing you've found lying on the ground outside of the road? Yep. Anything weird? Yeah. I look at dead rats in particular. We'll have that discussion for another day. Also, if you need a question for the water cooler, try this. 60% of women say they've never received a compliment about this. What is it? Their skin. That's kind of a weird one. Because I will tell you, I don't know what world you live in. How could you not give a woman a compliment about her skin? Maybe that's a conversation for hour 2. Maybe we'll go from there. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. Thanks for hanging out with me on this lovely morning. I will be doing hour 2 and 3 on Radio Big. If you want to come out and hang out over there, we'll also play some music and do all that kind of fun stuff, because that is what we do on that side of the equation. So there you go. If you hang out on Safety FM, you'll get to hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus. That's kind of a cool thing to do, as he talks about the world of safety consulting. So there you go. If you need a deep thought for today, I would love to give you this. Never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Think about it. There you go. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.